verify the facts before publishing. Mr. B.R.P. Bhaskar was a celebrated journalist who worked for several reputable English newspapers in the second half of the 20th century. I have never had the fortune of meeting Mr. Bhaskar, but I am familiar with some of his contributions to journalism, including a priceless collection of autobiographical articles aptly titled Newsroom, published by DC Books. Leafing through this book, I came across two touching lines in the preface by the author. In the eyes of the current crop of journalists, my generation might fall into the Stone Age or Dinosaur Age of journalism. The question whether the lessons from that age hold any relevance for the new generation is not misplaced. Bhaskar did emphasize that some values such as truth, righteousness, and justice are timeless, not just for journalism but for all walks of life. Soon, one anecdote after another began leaping at me from the pages of Newsroom, reminding me that certain bread and butter tools of journalism remain as relevant and indispensable now as they were when Bhaskar joined a renowned English newspaper as a trainee in 1952. I will list a few anecdotes and contemporary parallels to underscore this contention. Number 1. The Miracle Girl. Beginners in newspapers are usually given copies from the districts that carry minimum risk. One day, the news editor, once the last word in Newsroom, asked Mr. Bhaskar, who had by then become a sub editor, to edit a report from the then Coorg area that said an 18-year-old girl had stopped having food and water long ago, but she was as energetic as any youngster of her age and could do everything that a teenager could. In spite of being among the junior most journalists, Mr. Bhaskar approached his chief and told him that the report strained credulity. The desk chief sent him to the all powerful news editor who declared that the reporter was trustworthy and experienced and advised Bhaskar to go ahead with the report. Once published, the report was picked up by several newspapers, including the Times London, and the Miracle Girl became an overnight sensation. The ripples reached Parliament and drew particular attention because India was facing a severe food shortage then. One member of Parliament said that if it could be established how the girl was surviving without food, It could provide the answer to the problem plaguing the country. Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru announced that the Bangalore Medical College would be asked to examine the girl and submit a report. That Parliament readily took up a newspaper report, however preposterous it may sound, and the Prime Minister responded to the suggestion of a member of parliament or testimonies to the influence of the media and the democratic traditions that have suffered erosion over the years. Needless to say, the claim was a hoax, and the medical team caught the brother of the girl smuggling food to her, and the issue died down. Number 2. Cut to 2013. From Miracle Girl to Miracle Man. A national newspaper front page published a report that said the then Gujarat Chief Minister had facilitated the rescue of 15,000 pilgrims from his state who were stranded in Kedarnath. Apparently, a fleet of 80 Toyota Innovas were pressed into service to ferry the pilgrims to Dehradun. A few days later, the same newspaper carried a commentary that punched holes in its own report without naming itself. The commentary asked, how did these cars manage to reach places like Kedarnath across roads that have been washed away, over landslides that have wrecked most access routes? The commentary added that let us assume that CM's Innovas had wings as well as helicopter rotors and crunched numbers to suggest that it would have taken 80 Innovas at least 21 round trips totaling more than 230 hours or several days to pull off what the crack team apparently did in a day. The maths should have been done by the reporter before swallowing the claim hook, line, and 80 Innovas and filing the report. The news desk, the last line of defense in a newspaper, should have behaved like Bhaskar did and drawn the attention of the chief to the absurdity of the claim. It is this unquestioning attitude in Indian newsrooms that helped blur the thick wall that sought to separate fiction and fact. In the decade that followed, many newsrooms forgot that their primary task is not to trust but to verify. Another anecdote in Bhaskar's book refers to a report filed by a foreign correspondent on a biography of Jawaharlal Nehru that was first released abroad. The report claimed that the biography made some new revelations and cited as an example a nugget that said the envelope with the list of the cabinet ministers that Jawaharlal Nehru had handed over to the Governor General Lord Mountbatten was empty. The doubting Bhaskar again approached the news editor saying the information was not new. This time, the news editor said the highly regarded foreign correspondent was unlikely to have made such a mistake. But Bhaskar stuck to his version, and the news editor was alert enough to send him to the newspaper's library to verify. Mission with Mountbatten, a book written by his press attaché Alan Campbell Johnson, proved that Bhaskar was right. What Mr. Bhaskar read and retained, recollected, and acted upon may sound insignificant, but it is not. Reading about a wide array of subjects is an essential and one of the most important drills to be followed by whosoever wants to be a journalist. Such a requirement is looked down upon nowadays. Timely recollection is a skill that needs to be honed by seeking to associate everyday events with possible parallels from the past. The willingness and the ability to play spoil sport by pointing out unpleasant details are a reflection of the democratic values of a newsroom. Once these elements click into a place, a fairly competent news desk can live up to its name as the last line of defense. Insatiable curiosity that inspires reading and enquiry plays an important role in journalism, even now, especially now. Thank you for listening. In spite of being among the junior most journalists on the desk, Bhaskar approached his chief and told him that the report strained credulity. Credulaty. Credulity means a tendency to be too ready to believe that something is real or true. The Parliament readily took up a newspaper report, however preposterous it may sound, and the Prime Minister responded to the suggestion of a Member of Parliament or testimonies to the influence of the media and the democratic traditions that have suffered erosion over the days. Preposterous. Preposterous. Preposterous means absurd, ridiculous. The commentary added that let us assume the CM's Innovas had wings as well as helicopter rotors and crunched numbers to suggest that it would have taken 80 Innovas at least 21 round trips, totaling more than 230 hours or several days. Crunched numbers means analyzing numerical data in order to draw conclusion. The reporter claimed that the biography made some new revelations and cited as an example a nugget that said the envelope with the list of the cabinet members that Nehru had handed over to the Governor General Lord Mountbatten was empty. Nugget. Nugget. Nugget means a small piece. Thank you very much.